Hey everyone, James Chair from the StarCraft 2 Garden site to bring you a tactics video on the Protoss unit in StarCraft 2 known as the Warp Prism. So yes, it's a nice little air transport unit. It's a bit fragile, although it has recently received a buff to its health and shields, but as you can see, yeah, it's still a bit fragile. It ties up production at the robotics facility, which means, yeah, while you're producing that, you can't produce observers, immortals, or colossi, which you might need more of instead. It's got an upgrade at the robotics bay known as gravitic drive. Let's see. Here we go, gravitic drive. Huh, interesting, very similar to gravitic boosters for observers. But anyway, yeah, it's got the gravitic drive upgrade, which increases their speed, which is not too shabby. It's a bit of a low priority upgrade though, given the fact that well, you probably won't be using Warp Prisms too much during normal play, but yeah, there certainly are a few opportunities where they can come in handy, should I say, usually later on during the game. So yes, they can transport a whole bunch of units in them, but at the same time though, they can also act as a, well, basically as a mobile pylon once you deploy them, so you're using the phasing modes. If we, for example, get them into the middle of the enemy's base, for example, and then we deploy it, yeah, we could warp in a whole bunch of units to start. There we go, to start attacking as quickly as possible. So yeah, warp in a few zealots from the warp gates, and yeah, you can just continue warping them in. And then yeah, then basically this guy can beat a hasty retreat, should I say, if you know, the opponent should come with a couple of anti-air units, or yeah, just a couple of units to try to finish off your zealots. So there you go. Yes, and then yeah, I suppose yeah, if you guys actually manage to survive the trip, then you can just pick them up and drop them off at a different point. So yeah, the phasing mode also allows the Warp Prism to act as mobile pylon, as I said before, pretty good during general army advancements, like you can keep it with your main army and then simply reinforce from your warp gate directly to the Warp Prism. Although yeah, usually Protoss players would just lay a few pylons near the front line and then use that for reinforcement. So either way, it could still work, one could say. And yeah, Warp Prism can also be used for picking off straggling units. For example, if well, I'm not going to be showing this video, but yeah, for example, if they're sending units from their base to, you know, front line near your base, for example, you can send the Warp Prism around and yeah, try to drop off some units to try to ambush their units. Another thing you can do with the Warp Prism, which is especially effective against the Zerg, should just unload it, there we go, is yeah, basically to force your opponent to get most or all of their defensive units out of their base. So say for example, if they saw you on the march and you were engaging them around here, you could sneak in a force of, well, it doesn't necessarily need to be zealots, but yeah, if you sneak in a force of a couple of sentries and maybe a couple of other supporting units, usually the opponents basically only have one ramp leading up to it. You just use the force field on it. There you have it. Then yeah, basically the opponent's army will not be able to get back up that ramp unless if they have their own air transports, of course, and yeah, you'll be free to try to cause a bit of damage, and of course, yeah, basically to refresh the force field every so often with your sentries. So yeah, that can certainly be a pretty effective tactic as well, to say the least. So there you go, Warp Prism, not such a shabby unit, and of course, yeah, then you can just warp in more units as you continue assaulting the oh, of course. Anyway, yeah, you can just warp in more units to continue the attack, keep up the force field on the ramp, and yeah, you can do quite a bit of damage to the opponent that way, actually. So yeah, it's especially effective against Zerg, because normally they won't be upgrading, or rather getting the upgrade for the Overlord to be able to perform, to transport units, unless if they're specifically going for drops themselves, which is sometimes possible. It's not quite as effective against the Terrans though, because normally they'll have a few medevacs along with along with their army, so they can just transport their army. Yeah, this guy's really going to town, but anyway, yeah, they can just transport their army, you know, up and down the cliffs, basically. And no, we won't accept that just yet. And also, unlike the other transports, this Warp Prism can actually do one additional thing as well. So I'll just see if I can get into that position. Actually use it to very quickly warp units up and down cliffs. So we'll just see if we can do that. Yep, there we go. So yeah, basically, there we go. Yeah, basically you have to position it on the very edge around where that circle is, on the very edge of the cliff, and then yeah, you can just get units to go up into it. Oh yeah, you change the warp prism to phasing mode as well, not to transport mode, so it just stays still. And then you tell it to unload, and yeah, it'll unload the units up the cliff, provided that you positioned it correctly. So nice little trick to deploy, to say the least. And yeah, you can transport quite a few units up and down that way. Now the warp prism, it's superseded a little bit in terms of, well, moving your units around, because stalkers can blink up and down cliffs as long as you have sight of them, and yeah, colossi can also walk up and down cliffs. So warp prism, yeah, can still be used to transport things around, but yeah, just keep in mind that yeah, quite a few of the Protoss's units are pretty mobile already, but yeah, it can certainly come in handy. And yeah, interesting enough, this thing actually allows buildings to be powered near it, and in fact, yeah, you can even construct buildings around this warp prism as if it was a pylon. The problem is that once it exits phasing mode, then whatever buildings you made near it would be unpowered though, so you would be better off just putting them around the actual pylons. But rather interesting thing to note there. So there you have it. Check out the StarCraft 2 guidance site for more details about using Protoss, and until next time, this has been Dame Vidvig, signing off.